Jamil Damji.
My name is Jamil Damji. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and my company's name is Key Glee and Astro Flippin'. Baby.
You know him. Is he really the king comper? Is he the best at comping real estate properties? Well, he released a video right here where he went through his 2025 rules for comping real estate. And today, we're gonna review that video, but not just that. Check this out. This is Jamil's 9-step comping formula, and I will link it in the description down below, but we're gonna go through the entire thing. By the end of this video, not only will you know exactly how Jamil Damji comps, and you'll be able to comp just like him, I'm gonna add a few more things that I think that will help you close more wholesale deals. Things that have helped me invest in real estate since I was 18 years old and do at my company, RFP Homes, over $1 million in assignments every single year. But not just that, I also want to tell you the best softwares for comping, whether that's free or paid, and I'm gonna show you what you should offer on these properties. Okay, introduction done. What is up, Jamil? If you're watching this video, I absolutely love you and I look up to you. Let's get this video going. By the way, Jamil, I'm working on a cash underwriting software. I think you should partner with me on it. So here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna comp a property in real time while we go through Jamil's formula. I'm gonna go to my free real estate wholesaling community, where one of my community members, Patrick, just said, if you wanna find out who handles foreclosures in your area, go to auction.com and see the attorney handling the sale. Go to their website and they'll typically have a list of foreclosure sales. Dude, that is an insane tip. And if you want more tips like that, make sure to join my wholesaling community. But anyways, in here, people send me leads. So let's just grab one of these leads and comp it. Okay, so Trayvon sent me this lead here in Fort Worth. Now there's a few different comping softwares we can use. If you have Deal Machine or any of the softwares like it, like Privy or Batch Leads or PropStream, you can use that. My recent favorite is X Leads, and the comping's actually pretty good. If you don't want to spend money on a free comping software, the best one is PropWire. But just know it doesn't comp well in non-disclosure states. Alaska, Louisiana, Montana, Texas, Idaho, Mississippi, New Mexico, Utah, Kansas, Missouri, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Mississippi is such an irrelevant state that they don't even have their own flag. But guys, my favorite comping software is Propelio, and the coolest part is, look, check here. And it's supported by Key Glee, which is actually Jamil's company. So going into Propelio, we're just gonna put the address here of the property that we're gonna comp. And here is the house in question. Now, what do? Max, I have the house. How do we comp? Well, let's check Jamil's 9-step formula. So flipping back, guys, first we need to find our comparable sales. And Jamil's saying that we want to look for properties that were sold in the last 6 months. So if we flip over to comparable sales, you'll see that it automatically sorts the properties that were sold within the last 6 months. That's very, very standard. Now, the one thing I will say is Jamil is not a fan of looking at comps older than 6 months, whereas I have a slightly different opinion. I'm okay looking at comps that go a year back. Why is that, Max? I think real estate's very seasonal, especially depending on your location. So right now it's December, and I think looking at properties that sold last December in the winter at the same time we're in now is almost just as effective, depending on the market situation, as properties that sold in June, 6 months ago. Yes, start with 6 months comps, but I'm okay going a year back. Jamil is less okay with that. But here's something that he says, which is so smart, which I wish more people said.
But really, don't use old comps. And if you have no comps available, maybe it's not a deal for you to actually want to chase. Think about that.
That is so smart. So guys, if you cannot find comps within the past 6 months and you're still struggling to find comps in the past year, maybe it's just not a good deal. Why would that be? The property we're looking at right now is here in South Fort Worth, but it's on the border of being outside of the city. So I call this the concrete jungle, and I call this the grasslands. And once you start to get outside of the concrete jungle, you start to get outside of the city, guys, you start to get to the sticks. There's not a lot of buyers here. There's not a lot of comps, and this is not where you want to wholesale. This is where you want to wholesale, not out here. So if you're not finding comps on your property, like Jamil is saying, it may be because you're just looking at deals that are not good deals and not good areas. Okay, so we're gonna look at comps, 6, 12 months old, whatever. Okay, now, Max, there's still a lot of properties that come up. We need to narrow down the comps. That's step 2. That's what Jamil says. So what do we do now? One thing that I love is Jamil is not saying
Only look at properties within 1 mile of your property, or
annoying things like that. It's not a radius and a distance. It's don't freaking cross any major roads.
Don't cross any major roads.
So here's the property that we're comping. Guys, we don't want to cross Altamisa. We obviously don't want to cross the freeway. We want to stay in this section if possible and just pull comps within that section. The moment you cross major roads, entire neighborhoods change. Thank you, Jamil. It's not just about the distance from the property. It's staying within the same subdivision.
We want to stay within the same property type size, right? So within plus or minus 250 square feet is the maximum. We don't.
The maximum, Jamil, I may push back there slightly. I think he is 99% right. Our property, guys, is a 4.3, 1,300 square foot house. So I don't want to look at properties that are 1,600 square feet or that are 900 square feet, right? We want to stay within like 250 square feet. Except 250 square feet in our case is about 20%. So that's a big difference looking at houses that are 20% bigger or 20% smaller. The only thing I'll push back on there is if you're looking at big houses, mansions, high ARV properties. I was just comping like a 3,500 square foot, $1 million property. 250 square feet is not that big of a difference when you start talking about bigger houses. It's less percentage. So yes, stay within 250 square feet. Like Jamil says, stay within 100 freaking square feet. Just know that the bigger the house, the less that matters. Now, one thing that Jamil says here in his 9-step formula is, guys, ensure the comp is the same style of your property. Not just the same style home, the same building material makes the world of a difference. For example, here in Dallas, if we have two identical houses, but one's a framer made of wood and one's brick, the one that's brick's gonna sell for like 20% more. Why? I don't know. That's just what buyers want. So guys, look for the same construction material as well. That I just really need to get across because it's so important. Stop trying to compare this construction material against this construction material. It's just not the same.
Increases every plus or minus every 10 years, right? And that's what appraisers are using as their guidelines, except for the late 1800s and early 1900s where not a lot happened. I mean, we were still figuring out how to brush our teeth and, use electricity and things like that. So it wasn't that good of a time.
So if our house is in 1956, guys, we want to look at houses that are made between 1946 and 1966. I don't want to look at 1976 homes. Wax, why not a 1976 home? Well, 1976 homes here in Dallas, Texas, they're going to have PVC plumbing, not cast iron plumbing. The technology changed. That is worth 10, 20, sometimes $30,000 to end buyers, to investors. Ask me how I know. I just had to replace my cast iron plumbing and I spent $20,000. And guys, one more thing I'll say, and maybe this is just Dallas specific, but the hedge funds I work with love properties that are not just 1970s, but 1980s or newer. That 1980s to 2010, that's where you can start to do a lot of wholesale deals, and hedge funds also love them too. Anyways, the year built matters so much, but before 1940 or something, it doesn't matter. Compare a 1900 and a 1940 house. It doesn't matter. Jamil is spot on with this. Spot on. He's 100% correct. So the next feedback, guys, I think is probably the most important feedback that you're going to get out of this video is check for actives. Look at properties that are currently for sale. I really want to focus on this because I don't think Jamil put enough focus on it in his video. Jamil, if you haven't already, you need to make a full video on actives. Guys, the real estate market in some areas is going up, but in other areas, especially in the South, it's sort of heading down. So what does that mean? If you look at properties that were sold 6 months ago, like Jamil's telling you to, 6 months ago, they could have been higher than where they are now. So you don't want to just price your after repair value based off of comps that were sold 6 months ago. You want to price it based off of the competition that's currently for sale. Let me show you. So if we're trying to figure out the ARV of this house, yes, we can look at sold comps, like, hey, that one was a sold comp, this one's a sold comp, but let's take a second and look at actives. Right next door to our house, currently for sale, is a flipped home. An investor came in here and completely flipped this house. It's gorgeous. It's really nice. This is a great flip, except that is the smallest ceiling fan I have ever seen. And although it's not a perfect comp, sure, it has, one less bathroom and bedroom. It's a very similar sized property, but it's a little bit newer. So we could make adjustments. The point I'm trying to say is it's currently on the market for $265 and it's been on there for 23 days. And guys, it's not pending. It's not under contract. It's not selling. So if that one's not selling, then maybe ours won't sell for $265, right? It just depends on adjustments. You need to look at that because guess who's going to look at that? Investors. Investors are going to look at what their competition is on the market. And there's one more thing I want you to look at, guys. Pendings. Jamil, please emphasize to the world to look at pendings. Pendings is crucial. Here in blue, we have a property that's pending. It's probably going to sell. We don't know at what price. It was listed for $250,000. Let's check it out. Again, it's a bedroom and bathroom smaller than ours, but the house is 500 square feet bigger. So yin yang. Now, guys, I'll be honest. It's really not that nice inside. It's not full ARV. It needs a lot of work. But what I would do in these cases, especially when it's a perfectly flipped home, I call the realtor. I'm like, hey, I'm a licensed realtor, or hey, I'm buying a property in the area. I just wanted to know what your property's pending at so I know where to price mine. Can you please tell me? And I've never not had a realtor tell me what it's priced at. Now I know it's a perfectly flipped home. They have it under contract. There's a buyer who's going to buy it at $300,000. I'm like, well, there's my perfect comp. There's my ARV. Pendings are amazing. Now, guys, before we go and figure out the after repair value of our property, before we even go and do adjustments, we adjust, like I was saying, for the bedroom, bathroom, or also for traffic, which I think Jamil's the only one that talks about. So thank you, Jamil, for talking about this. Land. Guys, land. As someone who wholesales hundreds of thousands of dollars of land every single year, I love land. A lot of my land deals are teardowns. Let me show you. You know what? I'm not going to show you. Let Jamil show you.
This is really important to think about because I have been able to create a deal where a home had absolutely no exit strategy on it as a fix and flip until I looked at it for its land value based on its zoning and size. And then all of a sudden I was able to create $300,000 in value just by looking at the property from a different perspective, from a different lens. And that's by checking its zoning. Right? And so sometimes you want to look at what's the lot size? What are the zoning characteristics? Can something else be done here? Am I in an opportunity zone?
Guys, whenever you find a house, always comp it for land value too. And if you want to learn how to comp land deals, check out my video right here. John, put it up here. I've turned teardowns into $10,000, $20,000 assignment fees. And what Jamil is saying by checking the zoning is brilliant. I've had deals, guys, where I virtually drove the neighborhood. Wink, wink. We're going to talk about that here in a second. Where I virtually drove the neighborhood and I saw on my right, a duplex. On my left, a duplex. And I was looking at mine. I was like, wait, it's zoned duplex. And this is a small house. Why don't we just tear down this house and sell it to a developer for a duplex? We made so much money. Comp your deals for land. Okay, so now we're going to talk about adjustments. But one thing I love about Jamil is he's one of the few people that not only talks about property adjustments, but also looking at the location. And I have a secret tip that I'm going to show you right now on location adjustments, how I do it at my company. But flipping back to property adjustments, based off of the ARV of the home, and Jamil bases it off of a 500K ARV because, 500K is your average home price in America. Crazy. I know. It's super expensive. You're going to adjust homes, whether they have a bedroom, have a bathroom, or not, somewhere between, 10 to 25,000. And then for bathrooms, probably 10 to 20,000, depending on the ARV. And you might be wondering, Max, slow down. You're flying through it. There's a reason. Guys, I've comped thousands of properties, and frankly, I don't adjust for bedroom, bathroom that often. I try to find the perfect comp. And more often than not, the perfect comp exists. So you don't really need to too often adjust for bedroom and bathrooms. There are times, and when you need to do that, Jamil's rules are great. Somewhere between 10 to 25,000 for a bedroom, maybe 10 to 20,000 for a bathroom, but really try to find that right comp. Because at the end of the day, guys, adjustments, it's just guesswork. That's all it is. It's just guesswork. But one thing I do really often is adjust for garages, because garages is a big thing here in Texas because it's so hot. That is sick, Jamil. Jamil added something new to his 2025 rules
That you guys haven't seen yet, and it's understanding climate or special considerations. So for instance, Arizona, we have terribly hot summers here, and that makes garages very, very valuable. It also makes carports very valuable.
Guys, this is why I stress so much to focus on one market. Stop trying to wholesale nationwide. Choose one market, and it doesn't need to be where you live. You can wholesale virtually. There is literally over 1,000 people in my free wholesaling Discord community who are wholesaling virtually with me here in Dallas, Texas. They find the deals, they bring them to me, my team comps them, we lend them EMD and option for free, we handle all the title work, and then we dispo the property, and then we both get paid. But they're focusing on one market, so they learn Dallas, Texas like nobody else. And the thing is, when you start to master one market, you learn these tricks that Jamil is talking about. In Arizona, garages are important. I can tell you in Dallas, they are important. So you want to adjust a house somewhere between like $10,000 and even $25,000, depending on if they have a garage or not. Same concept with pools. Guys, I'm going to fly through this section because it's very market dependent. Get really good at one market and all this stuff is just going to become second nature to you. That's my best tip. However, what I really want to stress and what I love that Jamil does, guys, is focusing on the traffic and commercial impact. And the best way to figure this out, guys, is literally the most important thing in comping that nobody freaking does is drive the neighborhood virtually. Whenever someone sends me a deal, before I do anything else, before I even look at the house, read the bedroom bathroom count, before I do anything, I click Street View and I just get a vibe, a sentiment of the neighborhood. I make a quick little circle, I get dizzy, and I'm like, I understand the neighborhood. Max, what did you understand? You went through that so fast. Well, I saw that there was a flipped house right next door to me. Did you see that? Check this out. Right here. That house has been remodeled. So now I know there's actually fix and flipping going on in this neighborhood. Max, what else could you tell from that? Well, did you notice that the garage was converted? I did. Here, I'll zoom in for you. Look, that's a window banger in their garage. They converted their garage, so we're gonna have to take that into account. Is this square footage permitted? Is it not? Is it on tax rolls? Does that add value? Does that hurt value? Max, what do I do? You had to start on Street View to figure this out. It's not gonna tell you. You have to figure that out by looking at Street View. Max, what else did you notice? I noticed that some other garages were converted. Did you see that? I did. Here, when we looked all the way around, I saw that this house had a converted garage and they're using a carport. So there are other houses in the neighborhood that are converting a garage, which is good. We're not the only one. We're not the odd man out. That is good. And also, I just got a good general feel of the neighborhood. And then what I'll do, guys, is oftentimes I'll just drive up and down the street real fast. It takes me less than 30 seconds just to see if there's any other flipped homes. And then I drive the other way. And guys, what am I looking for here? There's a few things. I'm looking for major busy roads. Dude, this house is right next to the freeway and the frontage road. Now, is it backing to it or siding to it? No, but it's pretty close. So that could hurt the value. However, there is a flipped house right here, which would be a good comp for me to look at. That's even closer to this busy street. The other thing I want to do, guys, is I go around the house and I see if they have an alley. I see what's backing to the house. If it's a cheap house and it sides or backs to traffic, you're going to want to subtract 10 to 20,000. And if it fronts to traffic, if it's literally on a traffic street, then you're going to subtract somewhere between $20,000 and $40,000. And the same is true for expensive houses, but it's even worse. You're going to want to subtract somewhere between 10 to 20%. That is crazy. So looking back at our property, guys, I think I chose a really, really tough house to actually comp. Our house here has a converted garage, and I think what they did was add a bedroom and bathroom to the garage, and it's not showing in the square footage. So the house is probably an additional, I don't know, 200 to 300 square feet bigger. Now this is gonna be a really, really difficult one to comp because if they didn't convert the garage, this would have been a perfect comp. And I would have said ARV is less than 265. It's probably 260 or even less because, hey, there's an active that's not selling for that price. But because they converted the garage, I actually do believe it's gonna add value, especially because they added a bathroom. This is when mastering your market comes into play. I have a gut feeling that the ARV is closer to 275. And guys, yeah, I said it. Gut feeling. At the end of the day, guys, there's just something I want to say. Comping is not a science. It's an art. And the more you do it, the more you're just going to develop a gut feeling and be able to see a property and be like, I have a feeling it would be that. It's a feeling. Sometimes you can't explain it. You just have a feeling. So Jamil, I can teach you as much as we possibly can, but it's something that you just develop a skill set for over time. And I would think that the ARV on this one's about 275. But back to my point, if this property fronted a major street, let's say this one, this is a major frontage road. If it fronted this, we'd want to subtract up to $40,000 off of its value. If it just sided or back to it, that would be, $10,000 or $20,000. So for example, if this property was closer to the frontage road and I said ARV was 275, maybe ARV is closer to 245. Anyways, that's enough for adjustments. Let's move on. Jamil really goes into depths on basements and guest houses and ADUs, and that's something that I don't experience very often here in Dallas, Texas. So if you're in a market, a cold weather market where you have basements, you're gonna have to learn about that. If you have a lot of ADUs like in California, you're gonna have to learn about that. If you have a lot of guest houses, guys, you're just gonna have to learn about that. I deal with converted garages on a daily basis. That's what goes on here. Every little location is gonna have their quirks. Learn your market.
And then the last step, guys, is to take all of these steps, make all of the adjustments, take in all the considerations, and then calculate our ARV.
So now you have all the information, probably too much information you need in order to calculate your ARV. But guys, that's unfortunately not it. That's just the start. And that's why I say that wholesaling takes time to master. Because although we've determined that ARV on this home is 275, max, what do I offer? Do I offer 255, 235, 100,000? Max, what do I know what to offer? Well, guys, that's when we have to learn about repairs. So in order to get this property to full ARV, I would guess, just looking at this real quickly, and guys, I'm doing this in real time, I probably budget around 50 grand. Max, where did you come up with 50,000? Again, practice, but let me show you a quick trick. Again, go to my Discord. Scroll down, guys, to where it says repairs, and this is a really cool little cheat sheet. So this house is about 1,500 square feet. I would say it needs medium repairs, so about 35K, and then any additional major repair item like foundation, electrical, plumbing, that's an extra 10K, and I assume there's probably 2 major repair items. So this is probably a 45K to 55K basic flip. What did I guess? I guessed 50. I did that in real time. I swear, I didn't re-edit this. Just because I do this enough, you just sort of learn what repairs are in your area. If this was California, repairs is probably 150,000. Guys, that's why it's so important to master one market. And now that we know what ARV is and what repairs is, we can write our offer. So do we use the 70% rule, Max? Oh, no, not really. What I teach is to know what something sells for. And all day long, I can sell this house for 78% of ARV. A brick 3-2 in South Fort Worth, all day long, 78% of ARV. So I'm going to put in 275,000. I'm going to multiply it by 78%. And then I'm going to subtract $50,000. And I can probably sell this for about $165,000. Now I need to bake in my assignment fees. So I would say my MAO, the maximum I'd offer on this property is $155,000. I want to make $10,000. That's what I do. And that's what I recommend you should do too. Go talk to your buyers, go talk to your dispo partner and see what they would sell it for, and then work your assignment fee backwards. Because guys, I'll be honest, if you offered 70% of ARV on this property, we were at 155, you would have offered 142,500. And yeah, maybe you would have made an extra 12,500, but you know what also could have happened? You could have lost the deal. Someone like me would have came in and got it. So sure, you can start lower, but just know where your upper bounds is and don't lose deals over pennies, right? Know your market. So guys, with all that being said, I'm going to conclude this video, but the one thing I want to say is that you, and I'm serious, you can become the king comper just like Jamil in your market, in your zip code, in your backyard. You can even become a way better comper than Jamil in your neighborhood. Jamil is a much better comper than me all over the US. But in some pockets in Dallas, I got the guy beat any day of the week because that's all I do. That's literally all I do all day long is freaking deal with properties in this neighborhood. I don't ever do deals outside of DFW. So I can have an unfair advantage over the competition. So take the rules, take these 9-step formula that Jamil taught you to figure out ARV, learn how to accurately budget for repairs, which I'll make a lot more videos on, and then learn how to appropriately offer on properties, not just slinging out a 70% rule, and then start wholesaling and making real money. Jamil, I absolutely love your 9-step formula. Thank you so much for making that video and providing us with this awesome information. All right, guys, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.